Thank you so much for joining us for another edition of All Angles. I'm Dion Jacksmiller. So it's Workers' Week and it's Labor Day, so we decided to go in a slightly different direction for this program. Our interest was piqued by news of an international business model competition in which Jamaican teams came in first and second. So we decided, let's talk to the next generation of workers and business owners and operators. Joining me later on in the program, we're going to have the team from NCU that came in first, Base Tech. But first, a welcome to the University of the West Indies team, Eco Structures. And we have with us Trisha Bent, also on the team, Christopher Henry, as well as Shanna Lee Cawley. Thank you all so very much. Great to have you all on.
Thank you.
All right, so first of all, let me hear a little bit about your background. Trisha, what's your background?
I have a background in production, actually, and photography. So I worked as a photographer for many years, and then I went on to do my MBA at UA, which I complete this year.
As in TV production?
As in, well, yeah, video production, but I haven't worked with TV, so I've produced music videos mainly.
Okay, and Christopher, what about you?
Okay, my background is in civil engineering. I work in the construction industry, and I recently completed my MBA as well.
Okay,
by UA.
and Shanna Lee?
I'm with the government of Jamaica, being a civil servant, and I completed my MBA as well.
Okay, so you all met in MBA class.
Yeah.
That's correct. That is correct.
With the different skill sets.
Right.
So first, Trisha, let me ask you first of all. So how did you all, first of all, how did the competition come to your attention, perhaps I should say?
Okay, so the competition came to our attention in, I think it was the second year of us doing our MBAs. Mm-hmm. So we used to pass this sign over by UA. And it was always there, but we were always so busy. So we were like, okay, we definitely don't have any time while we're doing this program to actually enter the competition. But Shanna and I kind of promised each other that once we were done with school, we would actually enter. So we entered the Vincent Hosang competition, which is UA's competition over at the Mona School of Business. And then we came first there. So they pushed us to go to the nationals. We came second in the nationals. And then they said, you know, boy, we want all of our UA teams to go to the international competition. And that's how we ended up applying for the international competition.
So Christopher, how did the team come together now? Because I know a lot of times people tend to gravitate to people with similar skill sets and backgrounds. Right. So obviously that didn't happen here.
All right, well, our group actually started as Group 13 in the MBA program.
That's correct.
It's actually a larger group of 6 persons with even more diverse skills than what you see here on the set.
That's correct.
So actually the concept for the idea came out as a project that we did for our final business new ventures project. And we decided that it was good. It got a great reception from the school, and we decided that we were going to take it forward.
All right.
To the business model.
By now my viewers are saying, so what is it? What is it? Shanna Lee.
Oh boy. Well, Eco Structures, we are focused on providing construction solutions which have a environmental focus. So we're looking at recyclable material and how it can be integrated in traditional construction material. So our original idea was what we call an eco block, which we're patenting that, just a note. So the eco block pretty much is a traditional hollow concrete block, but we've infused it with what we call our eco aggregate. So it includes your traditional cement, sand, gravel, and water, but also our special secret sauce, our secret input.
Tell me what we're looking at there now.
What you're looking at is a mold being made using or with the inclusion of our eco aggregate. So it's your traditional concrete. You notice you see a cement there, you see the water that was inputted already, but we also have our, as I'm going to call it, our secret sauce that has been included. Now what happened when we originally made the blocks, which was the hollow concrete blocks, we realized that they actually were stronger, they were lighter, and they offer greater structural soundness than the traditional concrete block. So when we made those molds, which was in pursuit of offering the eco aggregate, we wanted to make sure that as far as the standards for concrete is concerned, that we were able to pass those standards. Based on the testing that we've done, we've actually have done that. We've succeeded in that regard.
Yeah. Well, Christopher, let me throw to you as an engineer here in terms of what makes this better then?
Well, what makes it better? To me, as I say, I work in the civil infrastructure industry, and I find that our infrastructure is being, we're not seeing the best use of our infrastructure due to plastic being so prevalent. I mean, we see it all over the island, Montego Bay floods. Every time there's a heavy storm event, and that's due to garbage being present in these gullies, drains, and all over. But the plastic adding the plastic now, it's basically making a double impact, as we will be making a great move towards removing a lot of these plastics from our gullies and drains and putting it into concrete.
Oh, that's one of them there?
Well, this is actually a sample.
Yeah, it's a cross-section.
Right, we actually, that's from the cube that you see being made on the video.
So
we cut a slice from the cube just
I can actually make a house with this?
You can.
Yes, you can.
And then now go drop down?
No,
it's not.
well, you heard it from a civil engineer, it won't fall down. Actually, it's stronger because of the input of the plastic against earthquakes, because the movement is not as, what would the term now, Chris? In terms of the movement of the concrete would not be as easily.
It's more. Is it more flexible?
Yeah, it's more flexible.
Because
so
what
this
happens?
Can break, because this feel like it can break. It can break.
No, it actually
lighter.
surpasses the compression test requirement for the Bureau of Standards. So even when we made the block, as Shanna said, when we sent that block out to test, we were kind of, because you're kind of a little bit apprehensive.
It's light, right?
But when you test it actually really it exceeded the requirement by like 5.
No, not so much.
Not so
it exceeded the requirement.
But it did exceed the requirement for the Bureau of Standards.
So was this an idea you all got from elsewhere? Because I know people are doing all kinds of things in terms of construction using plastics and other materials.
I must say it was influenced by ideas from Indonesia and places like that, where they actually put plastic into asphalt currently. And at the competition, we also met some persons from Cambodia who are actually going down that road. So plastic has been something that has been experimented with. There's not too much research on what's the effects on concrete, but I think we are the first persons in Jamaica to go down that road.
Because you mentioned that you're applying for, or you have applied for a patent.
That's
We're
right.
applying currently.
So you intend to have this as a serious thing?
Yes.
A little
No,
project.
It's not a school project. No, we surpassed that point.
Yeah, we maybe started out there. But when we realized that it surpassed the test, that when we tested the markets and people actually wanted it, people were like, can we buy this?
Yeah, they asked us,
we
are we in
said,
production?
why not? Put it forward.
Hold on to that for a moment. I'll soon come back to that. Tell me about the competition first. So you say you entered the Vincent Hosang, you won that, then you entered the international business model.
We'll enter the nationals, and then from there went on to the international business model competition.
So tell me about going on to the international competition. What was that like?
Well, in terms of the competition itself, it was, I'm going to say the journey was a little grueling, because it required you to go out and do a lot of validation. And validation means you have to actually talk to the market. So the whole principle of the competition is that before you decide to go and make a product, per se, you need to ensure that the actual industry, right, that's us presenting at the finals, right, the actual industry has an interest in what you're going to be offering. So we went out, we spoke to persons here in Jamaica from the construction industry, and we also spoke to persons in Trinidad and Barbados, just to find out, just to reach out from a regional point of view, just to see if they would have an interest. Trinidad was like, they have been doing studies on this, and this would actually, quote, revolutionize their construction industry. That's what we got as a response. So we're like, okay, wow, we're onto something here. And they've actually asked to partner with us to do further research on what we're doing.
I guess the question that arises for me is, how come this hasn't been done before?
Well,
it's like, what, you guys just stepped into this big gap in the market?
Well, I think because people are traditional in their view of things. So you putting a recyclable material in construction is not necessarily something that the average person would come up and say, boy, we should try doing this.
Yes, we like our block and steel.
We like our block and steel, exactly. And so with Chris being where he is, and we're all very environmentally focused in terms of our overall outlook. And I don't know, during the period as well, we realized that we had the landfill issue in Riverton. We had a number of floods. So during that period, that our thought process started to circulate around how could we address an environmental/social problem with something that people are accustomed to.
Yeah.
What's the lifespan for this?
The lifespan of that, it's comparable to regular concrete. it doesn't detract from the...
Because, you know, I keep going back to that. If I build a house out of this...
It won't fall down.
She's like your next customer.
Am I going to find myself in 5 years' time saying,
no. Well, what I can tell you is that plastic generally has a lifespan of over 1,000 years. Yeah. So if you're thinking the plastic will disintegrate, it will not. It probably will last longer than the concrete, to be honest with you.
Yeah, okay. So you said they wanted you to go out and test the market, find out whether or not people would actually buy it. Because the whole idea, I presume, is to come up with a business model that would actually work in real life.
Right.
That's correct.
That's correct.
So what was the presentation like?
You mean it? I don't understand what you mean.
In terms of you up there saw you on the stage and what you presented, and did people grill you or?
Okay, right. Boy. So it was traditional in some aspects, but what was key to it was that we used what they call a business model canvas. It was created by Ash, who was one of the, he was actually one of the final judges. So he's written this book, Running Lean, which, you know, was, so really the premise is that you really need to not just come up with an idea, but figure out if your idea is lean based on the business model canvas. So you would test, you know, who your customer segments are, you know, what your value proposition is going to be, you know, what your revenue streams are going to be. And then based on the tests that you have in the market, you know, you go back to the canvas and you look back at your idea and determine, okay, is this idea what people actually want? So instead of in the traditional sense where you'd write a business plan and you would just run to market with it, you apply to the bank for a loan, the first thing they tell you to do is go and speak directly to your market.
Hold that thought for me. Let me go to break. We'll be back in just a moment with the members of the team EcoStructures from UWI. Soon come.